Hey everyone, this is Sean Cargill from Violent Gamer, and this is another edition of the playlist. And this time around, we're going to be doing Firefall, Sleeping Dogs, and Delver. First up, we have Firefall, which is by Red 5 Studios. It is currently in beta. It is PC only, and it's going to be free to play. The beta has been going for quite some time, and it's received very mixed opinions all over the place. I've only played it for about 10 hours so far, but it's pretty fun. You have multiple classes, which they call battle frames. You can have 3 at any given time and switch between them. You have tech trees that basically give you access to new skills and weapons and armor and equipment, and they all lead to one type of class or another. Like if you're an engineer and you go down one tech tree, it'll lead to a specific type of engineer that's more advanced. The game has an open world, a crafting system, player versus player, but the missions or quests or whatever you want to call them in this are pretty typical for an MMO. They mask them in interesting ways, but it usually just comes down to kill X number of enemies or collect a certain number of resources. And the beginning of the game tends to end up with everyone just running around using a thumper, which is basically an extractor tool to get more resources out of the ground. And thankfully everyone goes around and helps each other when doing this, because you can't do this alone. And a lot of the gameplay I'm showing off here is the thumpers, because most of my gameplay is from early on. And I haven't gotten too far into the game yet, but I'm going to keep trying it out and see how it works. If it just keeps giving the same type of MMO quests, like the collect ones or kill X number, then it's not gonna be very exciting. But so far it's pretty fun and interesting, and combat kind of feels like Borderlands. So that's good for the most part, and I'm gonna leave it at that until I try it some more. But for now, we're gonna move on to Sleeping Dogs. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on Sleeping Dogs on this one, because I've played it a lot, and it's a really big game, and there's a lot to it. And if you've been watching our YouTube channel at all, I apologize, because I've been posting a lot of videos of that game already. I've been putting up side missions, driving, normal missions with story, drug bust, free roaming, trying to get everything up on there, and I'll probably end up doing a video review of the game as well. But Sleeping Dogs is a open world GTA style game set in Hong Kong. It's by United Front Games, and it's published by Square Enix. It's for PC, Xbox 360, and PS3. It's $60 on consoles and $50 on PC. So far I'm really enjoying the game despite the troublesome controls. The controls initially feel like it's a little bit of a port, and movement is awkward, but it's one of those things where you can get used to it after a couple hours and then it's not so bad. Although if you have a wired controller, that is preferably better, but it's not better for all aspects of the game. Controls are a bit mixed. Some of the PC controls are actually pretty good, like shooting feels pretty good, but movement doesn't feel great. Driving around's okay. And thankfully they did a good job porting all the graphical settings, so they're not just a normal port. When regards to that, you have a lot of different options for graphics, and it looks really good. They even have a high resolution texture pack that was available on the day of the release. The story is very much like a Hong Kong action movie like Infernal Affairs, which is more of a crime-based movie. You may know that for The Departed, which is the American version of that movie. And there are a lot of movies like that in Hong Kong, and they all kind of have a stylistic action, and this game drew upon all of that and put it into here. The story isn't complicated, but it's not horribly simple at the same time. A lot of the characters are more three-dimensional. Gangsters aren't just gangsters. There's more going on in there, and they so far have written the story pretty intelligently, and it has been really enjoyable so far. The world is full of side missions to do, and they continually open up as you go through the story more and more. At the point I just got to, which is about 10 hours in, they just started opening up racing all over the place. And there's 3 or 4 big cities around the island that you can go to. and you're moving through them as you go through the story, but it is an open world, so you can immediately go to any of them. There's collectibles all over the place, like hidden chests, statues that you can collect to learn new moves, and the martial arts in the game, the melee, is really fun for the most part. It feels like it would work better on a Xbox 360 controller or PS3 controller, but it still works pretty well on PC. And like I said earlier, it's one of the things where once you get used to it, it's a lot easier to work with and you don't mind it so much. It could definitely be better, but I've seen much worse ports from games of similar AAA quality. And the game is strictly single player, there's no multiplayer involved, and it came out last week. If you want to see any more of it, check out our Sleeping Dogs playlist. I have a bunch of videos up, and I'll keep putting videos up. And eventually I'll be doing a video review and written review and all that. And for now, I'm gonna move on to Delver. And this is Delver by Chad Cudican, and it's for PC, Macs, Linux, and Android. It is free for everything except for Android, and it is a first-person adventure roguelike game, meaning you can die permanently if you die, and you go down level by level. You run into various types of monsters. It's in alpha. There isn't a ton of content in it yet. It's pretty limited. There's no classes or anything, but you can make 3 different characters if you want. And it'll save your progress so you can leave and come back, but like I said before, if you die, your character's gone. They just came out with a new alpha version of it, and it has been pretty interesting. I expected it to be not that fun and kind of typical, because it looks like a lot of other roguelikes that I've played that are just there and they're following the same pattern as everything else. But this one has a unique little feel to it, and it's enjoyable. I can't wait to see what the developer actually makes out of this and what it comes to. It obviously doesn't have a lot to it yet, and I'm not sure how many levels it has. The farthest I've made is level 7. And there are new enemies as you go along there, and new equipment, but it's pretty strict. Like, the only things I've found is swords, daggers, armor, different potions, and wands. There's nothing beyond that so far. But there are traps throughout levels that you can set off or get enemies to go through. Some of them will teleport you. There's ranged enemies, melee ones that poison you. All kind of normal stuff you might expect from a little RPG adventure game. You do level up as you go through it, which just gives you more health. And if you want to try it out, just head on over to his website, which will be in the video info, and you can try it for free, except for Android. If you're going to do it on Android, it's not for free. But thanks for checking it out, and I may do more on this at some point as it gets farther along and it gets into beta, if it gets to that point. And I hope everyone has a good weekend, and I'm hoping our playlist next week will be fairly long, but it'll probably be somewhat around the same length. And thanks for watching, and good night.